Hello everyone, thank you for clicking that link and joining me again today. My name is Dee. I am Fat Chick in a Barn, and we're going to talk about 1,000-pound best friends today. All right, kids. Got my microphone on, which I totally forgot. Some days. Anyway. So we picked the show back up where they're going to Dr. Proctor's. He's gotten done telling Megan that if she doesn't change her ways and start eating better, that she's going to gain all the weight back. And then Vanessa goes in after she hadn't seen him in like 6 months. And he's like, I didn't think I was ever going to see you again. And she's like, well, I want to get started again. And she's a little more serious now, I think, because she's realizing that she's getting around the age that other family members have passed. And then she gets on the scale. She was 427 the last time she weighed in. She's now 441. And then they weigh in the boy, her son, Jacob, and he's 466 pounds, which is a huge wake-up call for her, and he's pre-diabetic. Here's the PSA part. People, if you're diabetic, make sure you are doing the most you can to control your blood sugar. I know it's not easy, but my really good friend, my best friend, is going blind. Literally going blind. Can you imagine? Can you sit for a minute and fucking imagine that? Because it's horrible. It's horrible. And I don't think people realize that. I don't think people really sit with that. They're like, I want to eat a donut. Really? You want to eat a donut, or do you want to fucking see again? Or do you want to have your toes cut off? I mean, get your shit straight. End of PSA. Moving into the next part, the besties decide to go to the water park, and they're going to go down this slide, and they all climb up these stairs, and they get to the top, and the guy up there looks at Vanessa and says, I'm sorry, ma'am, there's a weight limit of 350 pounds. So after huffing and puffing and dragging themselves up there, she's got to turn around and drag herself back down. I personally would have gone back down with her, but I don't weigh as much as any of them. But I just feel like that was kind of a dick move to let her to go back down by herself. But I also realized that they've never, they don't have a whole lot of gas in the tank. So they might not be able to go down with her and then back up to go down the slide. So they show her at the bottom, crying, and I felt really bad for her. Once they all do get down, they did have fun going down the slide, and they do console her and basically tell her, use this as, inspiration, use this as motivation, to lose the weight, to be able to go down the slide on your own. And I will give you the lecture. Motivation and inspiration are both cold-hearted bitches that will leave you the instant you need them the most. So you need to make it a habit. It needs to become a habit, a lifestyle choice, a lifestyle change, because motivation and inspiration ain't gonna get you very far. Next, they do talk a bit about Jackie and how she's a food pusher and how she sabotages Vanessa. And I think to a point that's probably true, but also I think to a point Vanessa's probably like, go get me the junk food. So, I mean, it's a habit that that they've built together. It's a relationship. This is how their relationship works together. This is how they've built it. And it's going to be difficult for them to change the relationship. As I talk about the bridge, yes, that's right. If any of you watched me for any length of time, I talk about the bridge. So the habits you create, like eating bad stuff or whatever habit, doing drugs, even good habits, they're like a river. And when you try to change the habit purposefully, it's like a bridge over the river. And when you first start building this bridge, it's going to be like made of sticks. It's going to be very unstable. It's not going to be, it's not going to be very sturdy. It's not going to hold up to a flood. When you go back and start eating bad food, that's like a flood and it washes your bridge away. And then you have to start all over again rebuilding that bridge. And the longer you build the habit, the longer you purposefully don't eat bad stuff, the stronger your bridge becomes. So when the storm comes and the floodwaters go down the river, you don't wash the bridge out. There will always be the capacity to wash that bridge away, but the stronger the bridge is, the harder it is to wash away. If any of that made sense. Hopefully. That's how I think of it. Anyway. And then Vanessa talks a little bit about how she's the mom and takes care of everyone. Not sure that's going to be so true because she can hardly take care of herself. But Dr. Proctor had told the ladies to go see a dietitian, and this is where you get your fart joke. If you're a fan of the 1,000-Pound Sisters, you get a fart joke in this one. So they go into this store, that's where the fart joke happens, and they are told to pick out whatever they would make for like a Sunday night dinner. And I felt, number one, like this is a store they would probably never shop at because it looked like a Whole Foods or something like that. You know, I'm assuming they're like Kroger, Safeways, Bash's kind of people, but whatever. And they pick out a bunch of stuff like potatoes and sausages and eggs and olives with cream cheese in them. So when they get out and the dietitian inspects their cart, she has some tips and tricks for them. You know, like, don't eat olives that have cream cheese in them. And personally, I'd say don't eat olives at all. Those things are nasty. Anyway. And the pasta that they picked it said that it had spinach in it, but it was like maybe 9% spinach. It was not much. And the dietitian talked about making cauliflower mashed potatoes. Also, a tip from me, there's a way that you can cut up and bake radishes so they taste like potatoes. It's pretty cool. And I got a kick out of Megan calling them vegetables, not vegetables, vegetables. I ain't afraid no vegetables. It was cute, I thought. And they asked the dietitian how many calories they should have, and she told them 1,200 to 1,500. I like that there was a range, but I didn't like that it's so low, because I mean, how much are they eating? Come on. They're eating a lot. They're eating like probably 3,000, at least 3,000 calories a day. You could just lop off 500 calories of that and still be losing weight like crazy. So, but we're also talking about people who are gonna die if they don't get the weight off like now. So that would probably account for the 1,200 calorie a day diet. And there's a part in the show where Megan calls Vanessa, it was cute. She calls Vanessa because she's going to eat some potato salad. And she has a picture of Dr. Proctor. And she's like, this is on all the refrigerators in the house. And Vanessa's like, and you still choose to eat the potato salad? It was pretty funny, I thought. So it was cute.
If we don't make a major change, then we're not going to get any progress. Here's what I've been doing. You don't ever create in the house. Oh my Lord! And you still choose the potato salad while you're looking at that man? Maybe a little.
And then they cut to, I don't know if Vanessa had slept in or whatever, but Jackie had showed up with like 24 donuts and a bunch of pancakes and all kinds of stuff that Vanessa couldn't eat. So she was like, hey, I can't eat any of this. And Jackie was like, what, you gonna walk around like a bitch all the time because you're not getting all the food you want? And they're kind of painting Jackie as the bad guy, but I'm like, there's, you know, in between the two scenarios lies the truth, because Jackie's like, hey, if Vanessa doesn't get what she wants, she's a bitch. And they're like, well, Jackie's bringing all this food. Somewhere in between lies the truth. So I don't think Jackie's the bad guy, but they're going to paint her as the bad guy. Vanessa and Megan go to therapy, And Vanessa talks about how she was married to a man for 9 years, and him and his family were very good at being abusive to her and causing her to turn to food because that was the only way she didn't feel alone. And she talked about how she was disgusted by her appearance in the mirror. And this is the part where I will tell you guys, if you don't love yourself, you need to learn to love yourself. And one of the ways you do that, look at the mirror and say, I love myself. And if you can't look in the mirror and say, I love myself without feeling silly or laughing, then you need to say, I know it's okay to love myself. And if you can't do that, then you say, I know it's okay to know that it's okay to love myself until you can actually love yourself. It takes a long time and it's going to feel silly, but I highly recommend everybody do this so they can love themselves. And I know the next part is going to be cliche, but if you don't love yourself, who the hell will? So in essence, they get down to the point that Megan's sabotaging herself because she doesn't really feel like she deserves anything better. And then they talk to Vanessa, and Vanessa's really kind of distrustful of therapy. But we do talk, she talks about how Jackie's sabotaging her, kind of talked about that. And the therapist talks about how maybe she should consider moving. And that's going to be a culture shock to them because I don't think they've ever been apart. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But I did have the thought that maybe Megan and Vanessa should move in together because Megan's living in Tina's basement. So that might work out. But then again, they could feed off of each other and then, you know, have a huge big old binge party. So I don't know. Maybe them moving in together will be something they do later on in the show. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But what I do know is I am done with this reaction. And everybody have an amazing day. Air hugs. I am out.